Hello, here we are again, Cresta Campervan Kippers. It's a really hot sunny day today. It's actually 36 degrees here in the van, and we're in about a week's time we're going to be setting off for our European adventure, where I'm expecting the temperature to be this for quite a few days, if not weeks. So I've decided that I don't want the cassette to be smelling, because we have a Dometic cassette toilet in the shower room, and I've decided to come up with my own little DIY SOG system. I used to have an aquarium, so I've got plenty activated charcoal lying around to put a deodorizing filter into it, and I'm just cobbling something together as usual with stuff that I've got lying around. Now, I did have a whirlpool bath a few years ago and I kept all the bits when I scrapped it. So here we have the water intake in the bath, and what I'm going to do, I've painted it black to match the van. I am going to cut through the access hatch door for the cassette and fit this to it in an upwards facing position. And in there I had a couple of these computer fans. They're very small, they're only 50 millimeters, and I've trimmed one down to be circular so that it fits quite nicely in the top of this bath fitting. And then to go further on from that, I'm going to put a wee bit of activated charcoal in there with a filter to stop it dropping into the fan, and then on the back of the access door this will all just push together. It's a bit Heath Robinson, but if it keeps the smell outside rather than in the shower room, then it's got to be worth a try. Doubtless in the future I'll probably modify and improve on this design, but it's something I've just concocted this morning, and I'm going to go ahead and fit it and see what happens. So anyway, I've got the outside of the door masked off now because I've got my 40mm hole saw, which is the right size for this fitting I've got. And I'm obviously then just going to drill through to the inside, and then this guy here with the filter, with the fan in, sorry, is just going to be mounted somehow on the back of that door. And the obvious reason it's pointing up over is for any water ingress from outside should just get in there, if it gets in at all, and then just run back out again. And then so yeah, I'm just going to drill a hole and then see how I'm going to mount this, and then just basically make it up as I go along. Usually I'll only do a little video like this once I've proven to myself that the idea works perfectly, but no, I'm going to live dangerously and give it a go and see what happens. Right, well thankfully I managed to drill the hole without scratching the rest of the van. So here we go, and now the obligatory black Smooth-Right, and paint around the cut edge to minimize any risk of it starting to rust. But of course there will be black Sikaflex on there as well, but for the time it takes to just put a bit of paint on, it's well worth doing. Okay, so now we've got the hole all masked off, ready for the black Sikaflex. I've got a little bead around the exterior part and perhaps a more generous bead for the interior part. But yeah, I'm going to make the assumption you know all about Sikaflex, but if you don't, please, you must mask it off, because if you get it on your paintwork, it's going to be there forever, unless you use something like Marine Debond, which will in theory take it off, but it's best not to get it on in the first place. Right, so that's it in place. It's probably not the prettiest vent ever invented, but found lying around the garden for free, it'll do for me. And as I say, on the inside the fan housing is pointing up over, so any water that may splash through these holes should in theory just run straight back out again. So I'm going to let the Sikaflex cure now. I won't mess on with it anymore, and I'll come back to it later after it's dried. Okay. Oh, and just very quickly, this is what it looks like on the inside, and of course there's there's plenty space between it and the cassette itself. And then here's the power supply for the fan. I was originally going to put it on a switch, but actually I'm just going to tap into the toilet power supply and just leave it running all the time. It's going to use minimal electricity, and there's more than enough solar on the top just to keep your batteries going. It ain't going to run anything down. So all excited to see if it will actually keep the tank vented. So I've got the fan running now, and I'm beginning to wonder whether this whistling noise is going to be an annoyance, although I did go inside the van, you can barely hear it. But then again, I don't want to cheese off anybody that's nearby. And I'm just beginning to wonder whether the small holes in here are turning it effectively into a whistle. So I might have to open some of those out, or maybe just give up and get a different vent. But on the whole, what I can say is I've put some really strong lemon essential oils in the toilet cassette, and I can smell them coming out of there quite nicely. So the suction's working anyway, and all I need to do now is tidy up all the pipes and cables and things inside. So that's it all just temporarily just hooked into the back of the door. And obviously, as I say, a bit of a mess, need to tidy all this up. I'm a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to this sort of thing, because I don't mind spending the money on new stuff and proper stuff when there's no real alternative, but I can't resist the challenge of just finding a cheap way of getting around what is essentially a simple little problem. So if you found any of this useful, maybe you haven't, but hey ho, what the hell. Just give us a like if you don't mind, and subscribe if you want to see if I can come up with any other cockamamie ideas that you might just be able to apply to your own van. Cheers, thanks now, bye bye.